let's continue our journey to understand the bugginess of DE's hitboxes. Last time we discussed building foundations, this time we'll visit a woodline to start chopping into trees. When we construct a lumber camp early in the game, we want to assign our villagers individually to chop the trees one at a time. A common situation is to construct the lumber camp flat against a woodline, assign 2 villagers to chop the diagonal trees behind the building, and another 2 villagers to chop the 2 trees flanking them. This assignment both minimizes the walking time of the villagers and creates a nice little pocket where villagers can continue chopping after the first layer of trees is cleared out. But already we can run into problems, as right-clicking on these individual trees can be difficult, if not seemingly impossible at times. So let's check out what's going wrong here. I'll start by using the official small trees mod that most players use in multiplayer, and we'll again use object highlights in these tests. Here are 2 trees right next to each other. We have no problems highlighting either the one on the left or on the right. But now let's chop down the tree on the right. If we try to highlight the tree on the left, we run into trouble. It's extremely difficult to position the mouse cursor in just the right location to select this tree. So what happened? If we look closely, we can see that when the initial tree was chopped down, its graphics were swapped for the felled tree graphics. And this sprite litters the ground with a large number of leaves that spill out beyond the original tree's tile. These leaves make clicking upon the other tree unnecessarily difficult. The tree on the right gets highlighted because its leaves now are behind the tree on the left. We can try to move around and find a spot to click the standing tree, but it's much more difficult now that it's next to a felled tree. And this issue isn't new to DE. The same thing happens in the original game. When a tree is chopped down, its leaves spill over into the nearby tiles and can make clicking upon the neighboring trees difficult. But when we compare the graphics from these 2 games, we notice that the leaves do stick out quite a bit more and cover a much larger area in the Definitive Edition. That just makes the problem worse. In contrast, let's try using the cube mod. This beautiful work of art replaces the game's resources with cubes. And before getting back to our woodline, let's just take a moment to appreciate just how adorably cute these little cube fish are, bobbing up and down in the water. Anyway, the felled tree graphics here are extremely simple. They fit neatly into their own tile and don't overflow behind the neighboring trees, or neighboring cubes. When we use this mod, it's much easier to assign our villagers to the correct trees. Now, the cube mod isn't for everyone though, and it would be great to have a better solution. So to help solve this problem, I created a mod where I removed most of the overflowing leaves from the chopped tree graphics. From a bit of testing, this seems to make it much easier to click on trees, and hopefully still looks a bit more realistic than does the cube mod. I'll put a link to this mod in the description if you want to try it out for yourself. But I do think this area is something that the developers could look into, particularly a related issue where if we try to set a TC gather point on a forest, we may end up clicking between trees. This leads to villagers walking over to the woodline and standing idle instead of beginning to chop. Anyway, hopefully this mod is able to make the situation better for us for now. Thank you all very much for watching. Extra thanks to everyone supporting me on Patreon, and I'll see you next time.